Um, okay, let's go. Thank you for coming, and hi everybody. My name is Konstantin Polishin. I am team lead of our team Social Engineering Group at Penetration Testing Department, Positive Technologies Company. It is our team. It is our offensive security team, our offensive security brand. It is our department that realize routine operations and verify business risk. It's our additional goals, task in our routine operations when after updating maximum privileges in infrastructure, for us need to study business process of organization and verify different business risk. If we're talking about banks, first of all, it's a financial business risk, and we need to demonstrate how possibility, how a potential attacker can withdraw money through SWIFT, core banking system, ATM network, and other more. Of course, hacker certificates such as OCP and OSEP by offensive security, but in my opinion, skills cannot be learned in a course are much more important. What I mean is project skills are much more useful and important in our work, in our projects, in our team than any certifications. I am responsible for such project activities as firstly, it is participation in a complex team operation with the goals to verify different business risks. Secondly, I specialize in verifying financial business risk in the banks with demonstration possibility of withdraw funds to fake bank ID. And thirdly, I specialize in bypassing anti-bot ML solution, developing social engineering expertise for getting initial access and updating maximum privileges in infrastructure, of course, with avoid SOC team. Today, I will tell about what I know best as a hacker, about one topic, about methods for getting initial access via use of social engineering, which we use on our projects to gain initial access to internal infrastructure. To start with, I want to say briefly about our group, about our team Social Engineering Group. We have recently created this unit in our penetration testing department, whose main activity, what we are doing, firstly is development TTP to getting initial access for our team operations. Secondly, research anti-bot ML solutions, sandboxes, secure ML gateways, development sandbox evasion techniques, persistent techniques, and other more techniques which we use in our social engineering vector. Thirdly, find, research 0 days, reproduce 1 days, reproduce 1 days, and as for as soon as possible, and as for last point, it's a recently example of net SPI research and remote code execution in Outlook. Initially, net SPI team didn't publish proof of concept, but they left drop detailed material on their research, according to which we quickly reproduce this vulnerability and the use in our project. Briefly about what will be in my presentation. We will discuss the diversity of smuggling vectors, URL vectors, about diversity attacks on developers, about power of delay site loading, persistent techniques via COM objects, email domain spoofing, and some of interesting our project cases. Let's start from smuggling vectors and their diversity in the context of payload delivery. Let's discuss HTML smuggling. First of all, HTML smuggling has been discussed many times, for example, in Outflank blog and many other articles. I don't mean that HTML smuggling is a new technique. For example, how in-packet toolset isn't a new toolset, but if you take it, it's your own research hands, rewrite, modify it, and upgrade. Then it becomes a high-tech for defenders. Nevertheless, HTML smuggling is still a powerful and beautification way for delivering a payload to a victim host, which is unlikely to lose relevance soon, both due to its flexibility and universality, both in a code realization, we can use different JavaScript methods for realize such an attacks, and in the code obfuscation. The flexibility and the universality of HTML smuggling can be viewed in several directions. Firstly, in the code obfuscation. Secondly, in delivering methods, how we can deliver our payload to victim host. As for code obfuscation, we can use various types of obfuscation from reverse base 64 to XOR, IS34, and up to realization of own types for obfuscation based on a JavaScript language. Moreover, we can also use different of decryption functioning for any color, taste, and technical level skills. But the most interesting thing, in my opinion, is the variations of combination of different methods for initializing, unpacking, and loading payload to the victim host. For instance, it can be inline download and JavaScript listener, XOR IS encryption, and a send password for user decryption. We can realize checking user agent and IP address, and if we detect a sandbox, we can block download our payload. We can use image on error code evaluation, ECG image code execution techniques. And let's go discuss each other in detail. And let's start from inline download and JavaScript event listener. This is one of the oldest way to initialize downloads using a button described in 2080 in the outflank block. This technique uses HTML8 text and the download attribute, which indicates to the file which need to download. Now, for example, when I'm clicking on the button, execution and other actions. Moreover, we can make life difficult for some sandboxes that cannot fully emulate user activities, and we can use JavaScript events. For example, mouse move, mouse center. They are triggered when the mouse pointer enters or leaves some object at the page. We can checking pressing or using some keys on the keyboard, key down, key up, click, double click, and we can check input or change some value in an input fields. Let's discuss XOR and IS encryption and sending password to the user for decryption to deliver our payload to victim host. First of all, to start the download, user must enter the password to input field. This allows us to avoid some static and dynamic analysis because we are send this password separately to user. In this way, the final file is based in an HTML form, which victim user need to input password, enter the password, and after this, our execution method for initialize and downloading our payload will be executed. Generally, such forms send, not as you can see on the slides, we send with a beautiful markup, HTML markup, and CSS styles, of course. Let's talk about image on error code evaluation. As for this technique, we can see we can use on error JavaScript event, or also we can use on load event of the HTML image tag, img, which is used to execute a JavaScript code. Moreover, this technique can be used in a local context when our JavaScript payload located in the same page, and in a remote context when our payload locates external remote server. As for local context, if the image, non-existent image, for example, cannot be loaded, the on error event will be triggered and our payload will be executed. As for remote context, if we can use in a remote context one load event, and if our image can load onload event will be triggered, and our payload will be downloaded from remote external server and execute. And the last thing I will discuss is SVG image code execution. Generally, this method is based on the possibility to embed JavaScript code in SVG images and execute it when this image will be loaded in a victim page. Firstly, we create SVG image that includes JavaScript code inside script text, and secondly, we embed SVG image to HTML page, maybe in base 64, in an object text or in other elements that can support image loading. And thirdly, during the process of loading this HTML page in a victim browser, our image will be loaded and execute our payload. Let's talking about SVG smuggling. First of all, SVG smuggling is a type of HTML smuggling payload delivery vector that uses SVG images to embed the payload into HTML page. Furthermore, SVG smuggling includes various techniques, including SVG image code execution, which I talked on the previous slide. In addition, this method allows us to use a file with the SVG executions, and additionally to SVG image code execution, we can use such sub-techniques as SVG as CDT, SVG section, SVG as CSS, and SVG polyglot files. And as for SVG smuggling SDT section, this technique uses SVG section inside SVG image, in SVG file, to embed a JavaScript code. It's some type how we can insert our JavaScript to image. And ACDT section insert into the SVG file, which storing JavaScript, and after load our image on the victim browser, our payload will be executed. SVG as CSS. It's not rocket science. It's one more type how we can store our payload and how we can bypass some sandboxes. And this technique based on the method when we store our payload in CSL bars, and after our page will be loaded in a victim browser and applies our CSL, our payload will be executed. And as for SVG polyglot technique, it is files that can be interpreted as a valid HTML and valid SVG file. And as a rule, this file is a SVG image with embedded JavaScript code. However, due to some syntactic and structural elements, this file can be a valid HTML file. In other words, we can use this file in different scenarios, and we can bypass some parsers that can identify this file how just a HTML page, but our payload located in SVG image. And to set up our acknowledged, we can combine techniques. For example, I take this example from platform deliver 2, and we can use listening JavaScript event that listening click on the page or user action, and after this our payload will be dropped. And it's look like as you can see on the slide, but we have one disadvantages in classic SVG smuggling. It's disadvantages associated with the payload. For example, our zip archive will have a random GUID or ID file name and not file names that we sent in original functioning. However, this problem can also solve in an after smuggle tool, or we can find some implementation code in Stack Overflow. This problem is solved by using modified JavaScript, which dynamically adds a binding element, a tag, to start download a file with a set name which we set in our function. As for real-life examples of use of SEG smuggling techniques in the wild by hackers, the well-known group, Red Cool Group, upgrade infection chain and now use SEG smuggling without attached links to the email due to some reasons. Maybe some secure email gateways have not instruction how to check SEG files. And before it, HTML smuggling was also used in the place of SEG smuggling. And now we start talking about PDF smuggling. Generally, PDF smuggling is a method of manipulating PDF files to embed JavaScript code or attachments. Basically, to embed JavaScript code to execute it when opening the PDF file in Safari for PDF viewer, some files by victim actions. Moreover, we can use different embedding methods. For example, we can use open action JavaScript events for automatically start opening, for instance, our HTML smuggling dropper. And first of all, PDF smuggling is a targeted exploitation in PDF readers. For example, Adobe Acrobat, Foxsheet Reader, PDF Reader. The PDF reader viewer detects JavaScript code and initialize and send a request for a user to open our embedded file in a browser. And if we try open this file in Google Chrome, for example, it's not will work because browser have additional protection mechanism to disable some dangerous JavaScript functioning. And as for PDF polyglot technique, it is concept to create a document that can be a valid PDF file and a document of another format. For example, Microsoft Office, doc files. You can insert bytes of a different format into a PDF document so that don't damage its structure, but at the same time make it valid in a different format. For example, in doc. How a doc file. In other words, unlike a PDF smuggling, where we use a JavaScript code, PDF polyglot targeted to create a document that can be correct in a different format. What is our profit? For instance, the parses in Sandbox can read the header of a file and can detect that it's a PDF and start use instruction for PDF files, but in the same time it's a file, it's a Microsoft Office docx and storing VBA macro. Let's continue talking about ways how we can deliver our payloads and talking about PDF luring files. Generally, PDF luring is a technique to manipulate PDF files to attract and increase user trust. In addition, content of PDF luring files may be different. It depends of attacker's goal. But the idea, in any case, comes down to increase the victim's trust. And after this, victim user need to open some link, attached link, or use a password for some encryption file. However, it's wrong talking about luring files only context of PDF, because we can use PowerPoint files, Excel, and other more Microsoft Office files that can be fine lure files. Moreover, it is important to understand the difference between lure files and decoy files that I taught in the previous slide. As a rule, decoy files are usually files that should increase the victim user trust level, because these files have not evil activity, and we can use this file in the last stage when we need to show some file for logically complete our attack. For example, APT29 use PDF decoys after successful attacks, just show invite for deployments. And let's talk a little bit about vector URLs and how they can be useful for us as attacker. URL files we can use in how user execution technique, when this file have a link to some bad files, TMD files is a console command located in external server. In addition, we can use URL files for the credential harassing attack. In this case, files has a link to a remote server which automatically realized notification when a victim's user views this file in a Windows Explorer. In other words, this attack will realize to credential leak if the SMB traffic of organization can go to external network perimeter if it's not blocked by firewalls. And we had a few projects cases where successfully harvest credentials of some administrators. Moreover, using URL files, attackers are distributing film drone stealer bypassed smart screen and mark of the web in November 2023. This is possible by setting a web link to a file in a zip archive located on external web app server inside the URL file, which was a very easy way to bypass the smart screen and the mark of the web. Nevertheless, Microsoft quickly realized a patch to close this vulnerability, but for some reason don't predict that a hacker is a simple person and would add one more URL file. I'm ready for it. I'm from Russia, I love it. Спасибо. Okay. Nevertheless, Microsoft quickly patched this vulnerability, but don't predict that hacker is a simple person and would add one more URL files that just have a link to first URL files that stores default path to CMD file or byte file with a console command and bypass smart screen and mark the web. And as a result, we have a vulnerability in 2024, which was used by Ghidra groups in their attacks. And let's talk about another fun URL-based payload delivery vector. We can use CDN, GitHub, or GitLab to store and deliver our payload. How? Using comments on GitHub or GitLab. User can attach a file, zip archive, executable files, and other more that will be uploaded to CDN and the linking with files by unique URL. Moreover, we don't need to post our comment. We can remove, just copy this URL and use in our phishing emails. However, GitHub made some change before the patch. We could generate a link with a project name, and we can use CrowdStrike not only for crash Windows, but we can use in our phishing attacks because we can generate URL with a name of repo. But nevertheless, I think this is still a good way to deliver your payload and store your payload because we can use a legitimate functionality. And let's change our discussed topic from payload delivery methods to topic of what payloads we can deliver to victim users and talk about attacks on developers. Probably, I think you have read news about that the hackers from Lazarus Group they realized phishing attacks to cybersecurity researcher and recently implementation backdoor in an XZ public tool which uses by administrators and IT specialists. And what payloads we can deliver to developers for getting initial access? For example, it can be payload for specialized IDEs, chain-brains, Visual Studio Code, and another more. This can be any plugins and extensions with payloads or Visual Studio projects with a payload. For instance, as a vector described in the Google Tech blog about Lazarus attack on a cybersecurity researcher, and technically disclosed by Outflank team. Moreover, we have a public repo in GitHub that describes details how we can use Visual Studio code and solution with different methods for execute our code. Besides, for Mark of the Web technology, to work in a Visual Studio SLM project, must be manually enabled and configured for trust settings because they are disabled by default. What does this mean? This means that victim users will not have any warning windows about unsafe actions, and our payload will be executed by one only click. After the research was published, both teams received answer from Microsoft that this was not a security problem, it's a feature, because opening Visual Studio Code project is an unsafe action, basically. And in Dynamics, this feature looks like you can see on the slide, but not running, of course, a calculator. We could realize a payload injection into the memory of some process in the background. You can download some popular projects from GitHub, how exe with the implemented backdoor, and maybe you can have a beacon after this. In turn, the MDSEC team did amazing research about how we can use Visual Studio Code extensions and URI handler to attack on developers with a payload. The extension with payload stores in legitimate plugin marketplace, and we can create this extension with a public framework and add our JavaScript logic and our payload. And after this, marketplace will generate a unique link, which we can use in our phishing emails and send to our developers with some phishing scenario. And after clicking our link, Windows can identify with the URI handler of Visual Code and send requests for developers. Let's go to install these extensions, and after this, our code will be executed. In addition, this is not the first research by MDSEC team in Visual Studio Code. The team has another research about how we can use Visual Code Windows notification for local privileged escalation in macOS operation system via harvest root password. On one team project, we successfully used this technique by installing such an extension with our main payload by use this magic command and install this payload, harvested root password, and use this password to extract K tabs to our some cables enumerate work in an Active Directory. And finally, about payloads, let's talk about delay site loading, which should be in the TP of each team for team operation. According to my feelings, 90% of commercial software will not label for delay site loading or delay hijacking. And it is important to understand difference between a simple delay hijacking and a delay site loading, because there's a lot of incorrect information about these terminologies. The delay site loading is similar in methodology to delay hijacking, but in delay hijacking, in classic delay hijacking, calls to legitimate delay are not proxied, and our application, which we use in our attack, will be crashed or can show some window errors to victim user. And for this reason, in the phishing attacks, we shouldn't use this classic delay hijacking, because we need to execute our payload without any windows and errors for a victim user. To do this, we need to proxy our calls to legitimate DLL and run our application without errors and with fully functionality and interface. In other words, we can say that combined techniques of delay hijacking and delay proxying is the same of delay site loading. Moreover, the delay site loading technique allows us to bypass mark of the web and smart screen because we use a legitimate application with a GDL signature. And in this way, we have the following advantages. Our payload will be launched by a trusted signet and maybe massively used application in the organization. Our payload is embedded in DLL. We can encrypt it and obfuscate our payload in DLL. We can use memory injection our payload and don't touching system and the disk. And we avoid any crashes and any error windows for a user. Delay site loading allows us to deliver just a container, zip archive, for example, with a legitimate application and DLL with our payload without using the user execution stage. For example, without using LNK files, which we can use to run our binary file bypassing smart screen warning windows. In the wild, protect groups, for example, Lazarus group uses more than 10 diversity of site loadings, but it's site loadings just for site loadings. Because for my opinion, searching delay site loading in commercial software, which is massively using in our target company, is a higher class. For example, if we know that in our target company, in our customer, uses Microsoft Teams as a corporate messenger, for us important research Microsoft Teams and find delay site loading and other vulnerabilities, and based our phishing email of this legitimate application that users known and trusted to it. And for example, our team finds delay site loading in Visual Studio Code, and it can be Microsoft Teams, of course. And we can use this as a payload in developers on tag, because Microsoft considers that delay site loading is not vulnerability, just a feature. And as you can see on the slide, delay DBG helper have my payload and runs my tool for remote administration in the memory. And you can see that it's not a public C2 framework, it's our framework, C2 framework, developed by our team for some our operation security reasons. And you can see, that's one moment, that we have session in a process of PowerPoint, and it's important for next our topic. And yeah, you can see that it's from a template of PowerPoint. And you can see that to get a back connection to my C2 server, I additionally launch a PowerPoint. This is done because my DLL doesn't just launch a payload, but did persistent on a victim machine based on a COM object and the process that the user most often uses due to work activities. In this case, triggered by Microsoft Office application. And first of all, COM objects are a very big topic that cannot be fully disclosed in one article. We have a lot of good materials in the internet, and I attached one link to some materials when I think COM object disclosed in details. And to begin this, COM object is a technology development by Microsoft that allow different software programs to communicate each other, even if they are written in different programming languages. To better understand this, think about COM objects as building blocks, and these building blocks enable programs to access components such functioning interface, libraries, as if the components were originally part of the program itself. For example, you need insert text block from Microsoft Word to Excel. Excel uses a COM object to access the text blocks using the functionality already implemented in a Word. And we have a lot of COM objects in the Windows system. And in the Windows registry, COM objects look like a record that stores information about how to find it and how to use these objects. In this way, the key places for storing information about COM objects are the local machine heap, current user heap, and classes root heap. And let's talk a little more about this registry heaps. Local machine heap stores information about COM objects that applies to all users on the computers. It's important for system level operation. Current user heap stores user-specific information for some personality settings, and classes root merge information from local machine and current user heap. And these heaps include registry keys that are important for us as attacker. Firstly, in proc server key is the path to the URL that will be executed in the memory of the process of some application called by COM object. Secondly, local server is a path to executable file which runs as separate process to work with the COM object, and thread us just redirects to another COM object by specifying the cell seat in the file. And the key point of heaps and registry keys, which I taught on the previous slide, is the fact they have a different priority on the system. Firstly, current user heap have priority over configuration inside the local machine heap. For this reason, to enable a user configuration for some personal settings. Moreover, registry keys, thread us in proc server, local server, have a own priority on the system, where thread us have priority over in proc server have priority over local server. And to summarize this, we have a priority scale, as you can see on the slide, for searching COM object on the system. And at this stage, all the most interesting things start for us as attacker, because we can see that in proc server, in current user heaps, have priority over same key in a local machine, and this means that we can persist on a victim machine without administrative rights. But we need to find some magic object, COM object. Now we can talk about vectors and way to persistence on the victim machine in a more detail based on the COM object. First of all, we have two main vectors for persistence. Firstly, current user heap, and secondly, local machine heap. Each of these ways have disadvantages and advantages. For instance, advantages of current user by path are we not need to use administrative privileges, but on the victim machine, because usually users have not administrative rights on the workstation. But we need to find a magic COM object which can most often use it due to user work activities. For example, from launching Microsoft Office application. And as for local machine vector, some disadvantages that we need administrative privilege to change the values in the registry, and sometimes we will need trust installer rights, and we need to elevate our rights from administrator to trust installer rights for change some useful values in the registry. However, persistence based on the local machine have advantages that it's not reliable in user actions. We can use only system-level operations. And in summary, common good ways for search possibility of a persistent on a victim machine. Such ways, it's searching phantom COM objects that link to non-exist DLL and executable files. Secondly, missing COM object in current user heap, because we can create this value, and searching oftentimes used COM objects. I prefer combine missing COM objects in the current user heap and oftentimes used COM objects. And as for local machine-based paths, good way in searching for oftentimes used COM objects. For example, it can be by MIME-based process. To do this, you will need elevate your rights from administrator to trusted installer. It's not difficult, but not remember this fact. And it's also important not forget to use a proxy DLL to redirect calls to a legitimate DLL, because we change a legitimate value and we can crash machine if we not use proxy DLL. And as for current user-based way, it is also a good way to search oftentimes used COM object due to your work activities. For example, Microsoft Office application, how you can see in a screen of my administrative tool. I don't give an example of the COM objects that we can use in our persistent, in our TTP, because I didn't see in the public information this COM object, but I think it's not difficult to search. If you want it, you can search this. And in conclusion, before moving to our project cases, let's discuss however we can upgrade our phishing attacks with email domain spoofing. And email domain spoofing is still a problem in 2024, and we find it sometimes often in our projects. And I didn't disclose topic about spoofing vectors before, but I want to talk about it briefly. First of all, we have two main vectors, gray box vectors and black box, each with two sub-vectors. And as for gray box vectors, it is possible when we identify spoofing possibilities by analyzing domain DNS records, SPF and MARC. First of all, the first gray box vectors focused on the all selector in the SPF record. And if it's administrator said to SPF record plus or tilde values, SPF check may fail and resulting software errors in security email gateway. And this allows us to spoof sender's name from a random email domain, how it's to target our company domain. This is common when administrator ignore SPF validation errors and haven't the MARC record to verify legitimacy. And the second gray box vector includes case when the main domain has a correct SPF and MARC configuration, but a legitimate subdomain, email domain, which using in routing emails, haven't these records and making it vulnerable to a spoofing, and it's easy way to spoof sender's name. And as for black box vectors, if we found the correct SPF record but found the MARC record that doesn't say that emails should be redirected in SPF verification, we can use this first black box vector, hoping that the security email gateway doesn't know how to work with these errors, manage with this zoo of errors, and that can be generated during the process of SPF verification, and can passes our spoofing email to infrastructure. And my favorite vector in the case when SPF and MARC records have a correct records, but on the DNS hosting, but in the internal DNS hosting, administrators doesn't create same DNS records, and security email gateways, first of all, come to internal DNS to check these records. And if it can find these records, he can thinking that it's a legitimate email, and it can pass our spoofing emails to internal infrastructure. And there are also some tricks for calling errors on the process of checking SPF on the security email gateway, which I, for example, uses when we're checking our security email gateway and when I send emails from our server. And firstly, it's double or multiply SPF records for domain. In your DNS hosting, it can call perm error. Secondly, it's SPF with a long length of record in your DNS hosting. It also can call perm error, and it's various errors with DNS resolvers can call a temp error. And good luck and have fun with these vectors. Okay, and finally, let's discuss a case from our team project where social engineering was the main method for overcome external perimeter. These phishing attacks include several stages, but 3 case stages will repeat in our projects. The first stage was the phishing. During the project, we discovered a data leak from another organization which contained email address and phone numbers of employees of our customers. We created a focus group based on this data leak and cloned the profile of one employee. And after this, impersonating the employees, we called it to our focus group with the scenario that they needed to manually update their corporate messenger because it could not be done automatically. And how we know about their corporate messenger? Firstly, during the async stage, and we found the commercial and the public version of commercial version of corporate messenger developed by our customer. Secondly, during phishing attacks and the phishing attacks, some employees replied send me in our corporate messenger, not in Telegram. And in Telegram, we send the victims a PDF with instruction that included attached a link to our phishing form for harvesting credentials. At this stage, we only need credentials to extract the global address list from Exchange, which included all email address and the phone numbers of our customers, employees, and allowing us to create a new focus group. In the second stage, after successfully extracting the global address list, we focused on detailed preparation. First, we created a focus group of victims, including accounts and treasurers. Why? This allowed us to realize the financial business risk only via social engineering, because we could extract credentials for a banking web interface from KeePass password manager, and we can install scheduling monitoring via RDS scheduling techniques or install VNC services to take a control when tokens of treasurers use it to sign up payment orders. And second, we prepared 2 attack chains with payloads for Windows style machine and macOS machine. For Windows, we developed a payload based on the corporate messenger. We find a delay site loading vulnerability in the messenger, allowing us to bypass smart screen and mark of the web, and users know its application and have a very trust to it. And as for macOS, that's a story for another time, but it's too very interesting. When launching the phishing attack again, sending official script in Telegram, calling with a PDF storing a link to our HTML smuggling page. This page dropped a zip archive with a corporate messenger with our payload to a victim machine. After successful execution of a payload, we gained a back connection to our C2 server from the victim workstation, which had network connectivity to main Active Directory domain. Initially, we used this connection for discovery techniques. Firstly, of course, we collected information about Active Directory via Bloodhound tools and collect information about certificate template with the Certify tool. And secondly, we also looted the victim's workstation, extracting VPN configurations, credentials, credentials for web apps, bank web apps from the treasurer's key pass. And moreover, from the treasurer's workstation, we demonstrate for our customer, demonstrate possibility of withdraw funds from a remote banking web interface after install shadowing for work activities. And finally, let's discuss the third stage. At this stage, we use the harvested credentials of technical support user to access their OAuth-based email access. From there, we send phishing emails using a legitimate corporate email to email address target victims. And we also upgrade our phish form by adding functionality for victims to authenticate with hardware token, with a TP token, based on the VPN configuration. The VPN configuration, which we extract and looted in a previous stage, locate in external our server, and we are develop Python code, Python script to verify the harvested username, password, and OTP tokens. And if the credentials were valid, we gain initial access to the internal infrastructure via VPN connection. In summary, we used various TTPs for this stage. First, we used PDF luring files and HTML smuggling page for payload delivery. Second, we used delay site loading in the corporate messenger for executing, launching our payload, and combined, of course, with a COM persistent for saving access to the victim machine. And these combined techniques allowed us repeatedly gain initial access to infrastructure during the project because, of course, we have incident response by a SOC team in this project. And in conclusion, social engineering is the easiest way to get initial access, but only when you have done a lot of work, size of work, of a complex technical preparation and research work. And thank you for your attention. It's all for me. Yeah, and I think we have not time for a question, but during the launch, I can